Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas. Today's guest is the complete fighter, not only a pro wrestler, but a specialist in MMA. Let me try that again. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I don't say that a lot on the podcast. Muay Thai. Please give up for JD Griffey. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
I'm doing good, man. Doing very, very well. Travel's crazy today, so
And
you
we
know,
just have a little chat before recording.
yeah,
I know you're a very
yeah.
busy man, but like I said before, I genuinely do appreciate you making time to
Absolutely.
come on
Thank
for a
you.
chat. It
Hell
means
yeah.
the world to me. So this
Absolutely.
should be a
Hell yeah.
fun conversation. Normally, I start the podcast by talking about like how you got into wrestling, or rewind the clocks in a way. But
Yeah.
because it's quite recent, I want to talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle,
Mm.
your Ring of Honor debut,
Yeah.
and
On a
you teamed
pay-per-view.
up with Shane
on the
Taylor.
main pay-per-view. Yeah.
Mate, honestly, the biggest pay-per-view for Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
new eyes in a way, but great
Yeah.
exposure. And you
Yeah.
faced off against the former AEW tag team champions, Keith Lee,
Mhm.
who I know you're familiar with. You've worked with him and
Yeah.
friends with him, and
Yeah.
Swerve Strickland, Swerve Now Glory.
Yeah.
Fantastic match, strong performances from everyone involved. Shane Taylor returns, your debut,
Yeah.
the story with Keith Lee and Swerve, brilliant match. So I
Mhm.
want to ask you first, how was it teaming with Shane Taylor?
Shane and I are actually very familiar with each other,
Mhm.
but normally our roles are very adversarial.
Yeah,
But Keith and Shane and I have come up together in the business. Keith and I have been friends since before the business. We're going
mhm.
on like 20 years now.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So it was pretty normal as far
Mhm.
as where we've all like performed together and
Yeah.
stuff like
So kind of
that.
like a night
It,
off in a way, a little bit.
yeah, it was very much all I got to do is
Mm.
just do what I'm supposed to do, show up and do what I'm supposed to do. But the way it like came about though was Shane had been recruiting me into STP for a
Yeah.
little bit, and it was one of those things where I've been stacking bodies and racking up titles for like the longest, and I just felt like I wasn't getting my just due,
Yeah.
and there's a tad of entitlement in that statement. I'll be honest, there's a tad bit of entitlement, when you like grind at something and
Mm.
put
No, I
everything
understand that
into
though.
it.
Like you
You
just feel like
you
you're not getting your
you you
reward.
almost yeah, you almost feel like I should get something
Mm.
back.
Yeah.
But the
Nothing
truth
wrong with
is,
that,
is like,
knowing that you're confident in what you do, but the fact that you've been doing it for a while and just feel like, okay,
but
maybe it's
perspective itself though tells you like listen, like everybody's working hard at
hmm
this level.
yeah.
Like that's the bare minimum. You know what I mean? Like it's the bare minimum. And so it was one of those things where signing with Shane Taylor promotions, he was like, my first battle is gonna be a crazy one. It's gonna be a little personal. And then when I found out it was Keith, it was like,
Oh,
but it was like, hey, you know,
it's just
and yeah,
business.
it
Nothing
is what, yeah,
personal.
and it's one of those things where you've seen those storylines play
Mm.
out in other angles with like the Shield and things of that nature. And
Yeah.
it was like we Shane, Keith, and I are kind of like maybe not like how the Shield is on screen, but like how they are like a
Mm.
brotherhood
But you did
behind the
actually
scenes
get
and
to
they look out.
embrace after the match as well.
Yeah,
You could tell
we
that was a
did,
genuine moment.
and so it was one of those things like we were kind of just glad it was over, like just like,
No
oh
fight
man,
coming
let's not.
more.
Yeah, yeah, because it's one of those things where you you kind of learn in the fire,
Mm.
especially with somebody like Swerve, who is, though he's my adversary at the moment, like I have to credit his creativity.
Mm. I
Like the
really want to see
things.
a singles match between you and Swerve, by the way. I don't know if has that
Oh,
happened before.
no,
It needs to
no,
happen. Needs
yeah,
to happen. The moment
yeah,
just when you two in the ring. Oh, just
yeah,
so cool, the little transitions.
and so it was one of those things where, like, yeah, it was. Let's get all of the let's get all the learning out of the way, like
Yeah.
all of the throwing you into the fire was going to get you out of the way because Swerve and I started off and we
hmm
got busy immediately, and after a couple of seconds, I was fine. I was like, all right,
Mm.
let's pull up, and then yeah, it was a good experience. The
Mm.
crowd was crazy.
Crowd was,
It,
mate, honestly, the crowd was so loud for it. They were up for that
you
match.
know, and so it was one of those things. Like I felt like that match had everything
Mm. It
that
did.
was needed.
It had a
everything that was
debut, it
needed.
had a return, it had a
Yeah,
story, it had great wrestling. The crowd was super into it. I mean, unfortunately, you didn't win, but I feel like you did win in a way. That makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. Oh man, as long as the outcome is income, there's no such thing as losing, man.
I like that. I'm
That's how I like to look at it.
I'm gonna be
As long as
stealing
that,
that. Sorry, I really
as
like
long
the
as that,
outcome.
like for real, it's like as long as the
Like
outcome is
that.
income,
Yeah.
it's you
Mm,
can't you got to call it fair, man.
mm.
You
I
can't.
do hope to see more of you and Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor, by the way, shout out to him. He's been on the show
Oh,
before,
absolutely,
so massive
absolutely.
shout out, great
Big
guest.
bro, my big
Scared the
bro
shit out of
Shane
me
too.
when I saw him when he came to London for a show, but
Yeah.
he's actually really nice. So
Oh, and that's the weird thing is like Shane is very, very much uh, a guy who you can relate to no
hmm
matter where you come from.
yeah,
Shane and I have very different upbringings, very different backgrounds. I grew up in a pretty privileged background, pretty, pretty upscale background. And he's from like East Cleveland, like gunshots every night,
mm,
stuff like that, and from the trenches. And then for him to just still be able to keep some semblance of normalcy as an adult and still turn all of that
definitely.
around into a successful career.
Mm,
And then when people asked why I signed with Shane Taylor Promotions, it was one of those things where it's like like I said, I was racking up wins and titles, and Shane didn't just get me the biggest fights. He didn't just get them promoted correctly.
hmm
He did it. He wasn't just at the facilities, overseeing preparation and preparing. But when battle came, when fight time came, he was lacing up his boots to go into battle with me.
Yeah.
And that's different. That's different.
Mm.
And so it was one of those things like I'm used to fighting against this guy, and then I'm going into one of the biggest fights of my life, and he's lacing up the boots like, oh, I'm going in there, and it's like, oh, okay. He and I've had some wars, so I know the guy next to me. I know what's going on. I
Yeah.
know that I'm gonna get the best combatant on my side, in that situation. And you've seen him. He's one hit, boom, dude
Mm.
stone out. And then like it was a weird situation for Keith because he's got two of his closest friends at his 12, but he can't trust the guy at his 6. It had everything, man. It
It was
had
brilliant.
everything.
It was
It
literally
had
like
everything.
storytelling at its
Yeah.
finest. If anyone hasn't watched it, by the way, get your eyes to watch. I mean, the entire pay per view itself is pretty solid, but that
Yeah.
match as well was one of the highlights for me. I'm not just saying it because you're here.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Will we see more of you and Shane Taylor in Ring of Honor?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's not the last. That's not just a one and done.
Oh, absolutely. Oh no, no,
Brilliant.
no.
That's
Oh
what I
no.
want to hear, man.
We've been busy. We've been getting busy, man. Yeah, we are we're taking it, one step at a time. So,
hmm
every, you've seen it on the dirt sheets and things of that nature. Everybody's, talking about TV deals and who's
Yeah.
signing what and this and that. And I can be 100% honest with you. Everybody in that locker room, we're not even worried about that. The
Mm.
boss, TK, was like, it's all taken care of, whatever, whatever. Just go out there and wrestle. And like we just go out there and wrestle. And so
Mm.
that's one of those things like when it's time for all of that kind of stuff to be announced, it'll be announced. So everybody in the trenches, everybody in the field, we're like, we just gonna go do what we do. And like I'm sure you're familiar with Ring of Honor. Like
Yeah.
at Ring of Honor, professional wrestling
Mm.
is the prime objective. Like,
I was gutted when it went out business. Like when they would come to the UK, I can't wait to see them. I
yeah,
went to like 3 of the shows and for it, but I'm happy that it is like, I mean, it's not full time yet still, but we know it's going to be happening, especially next year. So, fans have another option now, not just,
oh man,
you know,
like it's insane. And like you already know about the library on Honor Club, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like some of the greatest matches in
hours and
history,
hours of just unreal content.
and so that's the thing. Like all the guys in the locker room right now are just like, we know the content library
hmm
and we know what's going forward. Are we going to be able to put matches that are comparable to that caliber? And are we going to be able
Mm.
to exceed those expectations?
That gives
Because
you motive, though, doesn't it?
Ring of Honor fans expect the best wrestling.
Mm.
Like, it's like all the bells and whistles and all the pageantry, like that's cool. But once the bell rings, get busy, And so I think that all the guys in Ring of Honor right now, Wheeler Yuta, the pure champion, Claudio,
Athena,
heavyweight
women's
champion.
champion.
Yeah, another close friend of mine as well. Athena is the women's champion. So it's one of those things where everybody is just, the Briscoes, everybody's just ready to get busy, man. Everybody's ready to get busy, and it's
Just another
exciting.
reason as a
Yeah,
wrestler
it's
fan
just
to look forward to next year.
Yeah, and so it's good stuff. AEW is doing great things. Ring of Honor is doing great things. It's an exciting time to be a fan of professional wrestling,
and even to be involved in the business. Like there's options, and it's just not.
It's amazing.
I mean, like how you started the year, like you've had a brilliant year. Like you've been on AEW, Impact, and then you've pretty much nearly finished the show. Finished the year by being on Ring of Honor's biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, it was. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you for that. I didn't even think. I was like, damn. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. Yeah. I mean, you know how it is though, man. You get so busy where you just like eyes on the prize and one foot in front of the other.
Absolutely, man. Sometimes,
and then it does take somebody to tap you on your shoulder and go, "Hey, turn around." And you go,
"Look what you've done."
Oh man, yeah,
you've done this year.
And so, that was the main thing that Keith said when he pulled us in after the match. He was like, "I'm proud of you guys. I love you guys. We're here. We're here.
You're here to stay as well."
Yeah, we said we'd be here, and here we are. We manifested it, all of us. It took all of us different amount of times. We all took different routes, but it took us different amount of times. It took us different paths and different routes, but we still managed somehow to do it together. And that was what that moment. That's what that embrace was though it took us different time and different paths. We got here together still. Like
that's a moment that will no one can take away from you.
You can't, and it was crazy. Like after that night was over, I remember being in the shower and thinking, just crying happy tears, being like, we've like really been through the mud to really get that, with Keith almost dying in 2020 from the COVID scare and stuff, and kind of being thrown back into the fire with WWE, and then all of that stuff that happened, and then Tony Khan to extend an offer to him and bring him in, and realize Keith was one of the biggest stars in the industry at the time, and for TK to treat him as such was a beautiful thing to see. And then Shane, after Final Battle, Ring of Honor's last pay-per-view a year back, it was like
when he fought about Kenny King,
and it was so much uncertainty, and they gave everything that they could, and it was just bad fortune. And Shane didn't give up. He got busy. We have this saying in our team, like, you can either and when these things hit us in the mouth, you can either get mad or get busy, and we all chose to get busy in these situations. And so to be proud of my brothers and their ability to just weather the storm and overcome adversity, and me to do a version of it myself, really speaks volumes to our bond, to our abilities as performers, and just to our resiliency as human beings, and that's something that I was the most proud of. And so I was happiest with that, like, money and all of that stuff, and competing at the highest level with the greatest athletes, that's cool. But setting out to do something, and like I'm sure you've done it before, like when you say I can do this, I will do this, and you mean it, something changes.
It's when you achieve it as well. It's just, especially with people that you love, or that you value so much.
Yeah, because it's your passion. That's the weird thing. If you're passionate about it, it becomes a part of your identity almost. And so it's like when these things don't manifest in the way that you want, it almost feels like an attack on you, not your craft, not your work. It feels like it's an attack on you, the individual, because it's so much passion you put yourself into. So in our minds, it's like, yeah, it is. And so for the three of us to be able to weather the storm and in all its different forms, and still be able to get there together, I'm proud of that. And then in the midst of all of that, Swerve is like, I don't care about this family. It's just like, Thanks, Swerve. You know,
I want that singles match, by the way, with you and Swerve. I just know
oh,
it's going to be awesome.
oh, my thing is like I want that match, but I want it to be us two competing to
Yeah.
be the best. Like as I feel about Swerve right now, like I'll probably be in there trying to like mess him up. You know what I mean? Like he's being a tool right now, man. It's just like, dude, what is your issue, man? Like, what's your
I forget that you guys used the word tool as an insult. I love it.
you know, it's just like, God, and it's he's nuts. It's awful. He's awful. Like at the hotels, he's awful at the restaurants. It's just he's just awful, and he's just one of those guys who sees wheels turning at all times.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always like, is this not bothering anybody else? Am I tripping? Like this is nobody.
I'm surprised he doesn't
guy?
speak like third person. Like just you can tell
like,
he loves himself.
I mean, it's so weird. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he does. I think he's at war with himself. There were times in that matchup. I'm serious. There were times in that matchup where I was like, "Oh, this isn't even about me or Shane or Keith. Like this guy he's fighting himself right now. I'm not even
arguments
in the ring.
with himself in the
mirror. Like I'm not even in the ring with him right now. It's like I got him in a rear naked choke, and he's like cursing to himself as he's trying to defend the choke, and I'm just like, oh, he's in his own world right now. Dude is, I don't know. Like
I think that makes him dangerous though.
That's what and I've been trying to tell Keith that I'm like, Keith, bro, like, and he's like, no, it's just Swerve. It's just how he is. And I'm like,
ticking time bomb, I'll say.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. Anybody that doesn't respect familial bonds, you know, that's a red flag to me.
I hope it's not too late for Keith. That's what I'm going to say.
You know, and that's the thing for Keith is like I love him for it. I love him for it. It's probably why we're all still together is because he sees the best in people.
Yeah.
You can show him 9 awful things, but if that 10th thing is redeemable, he'll latch onto that because Keith wants to see everybody succeed. Keith wants to see everybody make it. And for some reason, I think that bothers Swerve. I'm like, why does somebody with genuine, like really genuine intentions for you and your well-being as a performer and as a man, because that's never been their problem, like Swerve as a wrestler. Swerve as a
wrestler is one of the best in the world.
Generational talent.
Yeah,
like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you would think that I like this guy the way I talk about him. When I talk about him, you would think I like the guy, right? You would think we were friends. You would think I want to have a beer with him or something. But no, like, he's brilliant. He's a generational talent on the microphone, in the ring. Like, he's really, really, really good. He's criminally underrated.
Yeah.
But he's a dick. And so I'm like, I see why. He's like the uncle that you listen that like gives you the correct information, but you don't like him. So you're like, I know you're right, but you're such a jerk. I'm gonna do the opposite. And so I think when all of these awards and accolades are passed out at the end of the year and stuff, people are like, yeah, Swerve was killing it. I freaking hate him. I'm not voting.
It's like, man, he's so good.
He's so brilliant. He's so brilliant. He really is. He's brilliant. And
at times I want to boo him, but then I want to cheer him. It's like you're confusing me.
but you like, if you're in the arenas, you see it. You see the crowd like, oh, they're excited to see him.
Yep.
And then he just has this look, and he just does something, and they're just like,
yeah. When he walked out during the match,
it's just
battle, like, fans were just not having it, not happy, because he was doing like performance against you two. Like, that's not an easy task, and he just walked out during the match.
And it's just like, at that time, that's when Keith needed him the most.
Yeah. You
know? And I remember thinking in that moment, watching Swerve walk away, I was like, that's crazy. It's taking me back there. Like, I got like goosebumps right now. But like, I remember thinking like, it felt like Earth 2, or like, you know, like an alternate universe. Like,
yeah.
We would never walk out on Keith in battle, but here we are stomping him as his partner's walking
his
away.
Own partner that he's won the tag team championship with.
Yeah, and you've seen them have their disagreements, and you've seen, and that happens.
Brothers fight, friends fight, we all fight.
bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, we are in the midst of stomping the dog out of Keith,
Yeah.
and his partner's walking away. And I'm thinking all the times that Keith and I have argued, or Shane and I have argued, and almost come to blows. The thought of leaving them outside the wire in battle, saying that out
Unforgivable. It's unforgivable.
yeah, saying it out loud, you could like you see it on my face. It leaves like a bad taste to even like say it.
You don't want to finish off the sentence.
Yeah, much less watch Swerve do it.
Yep.
And so I think even in that moment, it took Shane and I out of our game. Like, so what do? We just beat him down? Like, you know, and then I think you could tell in our body language watching the match, like, now this feels wrong. This isn't even competition.
Yeah.
Because that was Shane's big thing. Shane wants to prove to himself that that he's better than Keith. Like, it's just his thing with Shane. Like, he's got to know. For me, it was more of I'm one of the best combat athletes on the planet, and I want to show that on the biggest stage against the best fighters in this business.
Mm-hmm.
I think Keith and Swerve fit that bill, fit that description to a T. And I was like, that's what I'm here for. Like, all of the other stuff, like, it was like, I was kicking in this door regardless. It sucked that Keith's name was on the door, but I'm kicking it in, like, you know. But then in that moment, it wasn't about the competition. We're in battle. His partner's leaving him, and we are still assaulting him. It felt like an assault and not competition.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You can hear how I'm talking. You can hear how I'm talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my parents are in the front row.
Really?
His parents are in the front row.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like there was a time I was about to dive on Swerve, and Keith catches me, and I already know he's like he's about to pop me up, power bomb me on the apron. And I looked over and I saw his mom kind of like, and I was like, I point, you see me point. I go, Mom will kill you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Mom will fucking kill you.
Oh yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
F that, bro. I don't care. Like, we are adults.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't actually know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you're about to mess up Christmas holidays right now if you powerbomb me on this apron. I will never talk to you again. Put me down. And you see him, like, it's funny because we watched it back. You see him, like, he kind of like, and it's just one of those things, like, it felt like we were kids again, where he's
yeah.
Man, because Mom will kill you if you hurt me has gotten me out of so many fights. Like, I'm not joking. Like, because Keith's always been like exponentially bigger than me. Like, you know, like it's been nuts. And so it's always been like, don't you, even when I antagonize, I'm like, hey, don't. Hey. And so he had me dead to rights. And so it was like, Mom will kill you. And he put me down, but then Swerve kicked me in the head. I was like, what the? Bro, it was one of those, yeah. But yeah, at the end of that, just seeing Keith still trying to fight and persevere. You think any other person in that moment would realize their defeat and kind of accept it, like Shane Taylor, JD Griffey, just me, my partner's walking out. I'm about to get embarrassed in front of thousands of people. And Keith somehow, I was about to just, you could just change this, like, just kick him. So we put him down, kick him in the head. And I go to kick him, and he ducks, and I kick Shane. And I'm like, oh, crap. And then, like, it was one of those things where it was just like, what are we doing? In this
I just want to watch the match back again now. Like, I just want to watch it again now.
You know, it's just one of those things where I was just like, what am I doing? I just kicked Shane, my brother, in the head, trying to kick Keith, my other brother, in the head on a national pay-per-view in front of thousands of people and our families in the front. What am I doing? And it was one of those things where, it was just, that was the conflict that all of us were dealing with in that moment, was the conflict. And then the guy who started the conflict he's gone. He's gone. We're fighting and this guy's gone. I'm like, yo, Swerve is a freaking Marvel villain. What the hell is happening? Like, did
anyone catch up with him then after the match?
Bro, no, he was gone. He was nowhere to be found. He was nowhere to be found. And then, you know, he's been posting these cryptic videos on AEW TV, and it's just like, And Keith, tomorrow, in the States, tomorrow, Keith's gonna have this face to face live on Dynamite on TBS. And I'm just kind of like, are you don't go out like this. There's nothing good that could come of this. There's
No.
nothing this guy's gonna say
Mm.
that you want to hear. There's nothing. I don't. I just. I don't trust him. I've clocked guys
You
like
don't see
this.
it ending well, do you?
Yeah, like because one or two things is gonna happen. Swerve's gonna say something
Hmm.
that's gonna get Keith to beat him within an inch of his life, and Keith's gonna feel bad about it. Or Swerve is gonna do something, and Keith's gonna beat him within an inch of his life and feel bad about it. But there's a part of me that feels like there's a third option that Swerve has planned this out. That every single one of us are exactly where he wants us to be. I felt like that in the match. I was like, I feel like all of these emotions are mine and they're authentic, and I'm competing and I'm fighting against my brothers, but somehow I feel like I'm somewhere that somebody else wants me to be. Like
Yeah.
this isn't, it's weird. It's like I know I made these choices, but I don't feel like these choices were mine to make. Like this doesn't. I don't know. It was weird. The Swerve
Mm.
is different. I'm telling you, like I don't have a good feeling. I don't have a good
I
feeling.
hope it kind of bites him in the arse. I hope Keith kind of cannot look him in the eye and just see like, is this all worth it?
Well,
And
the
at that
thing
same
is like
time, we know what Swerve's like.
we
He'll
know what
find
Swerve is
something.
like, but I also know what Keith is like, and I used to be like Swerve. Like I used to be like Swerve. I used to be so just jaded that I didn't get my way.
Hmm.
I used to like I wasn't getting like I understand Swerve. That's why I feel so bad about this whole situation, is because I felt what he's feeling, almost more than what he's feeling. Because I'm like, what do you have to be mad about? You work for one of the best companies in the world. You're tagging. You're successful. You're doing.
Hmm.
What the f is the problem? What's your problem?
Hmm.
Like when I
And you're
had
with a
these
good dude
problems,
as well. A
yeah,
really good dude.
and so like when I was at that place and mentally and
Hmm.
emotionally and spiritually, I made a different choice because I had somebody like Keith in my life
Mm.
to offer perspective. And I think that's what Keith's been trying to do is offer Swerve perspective. But
Yeah.
Swerve's just not trying to hear it.
Nah, I get
You
that
know.
impression from him as well. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from my next guest, and this is definitely not a retake.
This is KC Payne, and you're listening to What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard. Awesome. Just a quick break then. May have had a chat in between the break as well. But we had a really good conversation about Final Battle, Keith Lee, Swerve. Keep an eye out because JD
Oh man,
is going to be having a singles match review.
I'm
And
on your bumper, bro.
the
I'm
fans
on
buzzing
your
for it.
bumper.
I just think because what I saw in the tag match, I just think that as a match, I mean, whoever wins, the fans win. It's
Yeah,
going to be
absolutely,
fucking
absolutely,
awesome, man. One thing I do
absolutely.
want to talk about is the
What's
switch off
up?
from wrestling because I can
Hmm.
imagine like predominantly it's about wrestling, but I know you're
Hmm.
also known for MMA. What
Absolutely.
I want to know is like sort of how did you get into it? Were you into mixed martial arts before wrestling as well?
Yeah, I had been in martial arts like since I was a little kid.
Mm.
My siblings and I, we came from like a bit of a privileged upbringing. So my dad was really worried about my siblings and I being soft.
Mhm.
He was like, I'd rather my son be like Bruce Wayne than some rich guy that you could rob and beat up. He's like, I'd rather them, pick my son as a target and realize, oh, he's the Batman, you
Yeah,
know. But
I love
no,
that.
so I've been in martial arts. I can't. I don't have any conscious memories of not being in martial
Mm.
arts. So um, yeah. So I had been in martial arts my whole life. I did Taekwondo as a child,
Hmm.
and then got into jujitsu shortly after, and then Muay Thai. When I got into Muay Thai, I fell in love with it
Mm.
because it's very much a mental war where it's kind of like you go into it accepting damage.
Yeah.
Like in jiu-jitsu, it's more of a manage the distance, you manage the damage, you just kind of trying to get out of it. You're just trying to get out. But like Muay Thai is like I know I'm gonna get hit, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
hit you, and I bet you retreat before I do. And that's every bout. It's a war of attrition
Mm.
every bout. And so it was one of those things where it was something about, you know, pounding another kid with leg kicks and just seeing the resolve leave him when he can't put weight on his foot. And it was just like one of those things where you feel proud of it because you
Yeah.
have this ability to put pressure on somebody while under pressure
Mhm.
and endure it. It did something to me as a kid where I go, oh, when I want to go play football, I can go out there and I don't got to worry about other kids pushing me down and stuff like that. And I can still go score goals and, do whatever. Or, play American football. I can go out there and score touchdowns or,
Did you
like
just
what?
call football? You actually meant soccer.
Yes.
Wow, and you're an American as well.
Yes.
My
Yes. Oh,
man.
listen, in my house, my dad, if we said soccer, my dad get pissed. Like
Man.
that was a no.
Mate, honestly, if I
That
just
was,
like high five you right now, I know, like, mate, that's
oh,
awesome.
bro,
So I just clocked on. I was
bro.
like, did he mean soccer? Like, I had to double check.
No, nah, bro. No,
That's
sir.
quality. You are the
Yeah.
first American that I've ever known.
Oh, bro, that's funny because, like, bro, I refuse. Like,
Like, when I say
I
sorry.
refuse. Yeah, I refuse. But yeah, man, like, it made me feel like I could do anything, and so it was
Yeah.
one of those things where, if you got a test that you're studying for in school,
Mm-hmm.
it ain't harder than Muay Thai, and I did that. Like, everything became easy
Mm.
after that. Like homework, studying, like talking to girls, like everything became easier
Wow.
because for me, Muay Thai was the worst of it. Like training for Muay Thai, conditioning my body for Muay Thai, it was the worst of it.
Mm.
It was the worst of it, but I found a way to love it at a very young age, and so it was
It's a
like,
crazy sort of explanation, but it's quite cool to see that it had that sort of impact, the positive impact in your life.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
challenging, but you loved it.
I did. It was because it's weird. It's so weird. It's like and we all experience it in when I use this example, you're going to find some version of it in your life because it's more prevalent in our lives than we realize.
Yeah.
And when you start to see it, you start to be happier about your own life because I think there's so many good things that happen to us, and there's so many bad things that we overcome that we
Mm-hmm.
just don't acknowledge. So when we look back at life, it's just like it's been all bad, all this and all that. It's like, no, because you went through those bad things, these things that you thought you'd never get past, that breakup, that whatever, that bully, that what, no matter what it is. But like here we are having this conversation.
Yeah.
So it it wasn't enough to consume you. Right. And so it's like if you keep that mentality, you realize you've overcome a lot. Like, yes, I hated getting up and, shin conditioning for Muay Thai and my body hurt every day. And there were so many times where I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do this today. And it was like, but there's another kid in my camp that doesn't want to do this today. And he's going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be the guy that doesn't show up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so when you make that choice, you go, oh, I'm going to get through it.
Mm.
That's the end of it. Now it's just find a way. And you realize that you've done that over and over again in your life. That's why you're still here, bro.
Mm.
That's why you're still here, is you've repeated that process and you were just unaware of it. We've all done that. Life has had that effect on all of us. We just either acknowledge it or we don't. The fact that you're still alive means that you saw that the exact same way that I did. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is awful, but it makes me better and I kind of feel accomplished coming out the other end of it. Now, I might not be looking forward to the next piece of adversity, right? Like nobody's out looking for it,
Yeah.
right? And don't misunderstand me.
No. Okay.
Looking
Yeah.
for it. But it's kind of like when you learn to swim.
Yeah.
Deep water is of no consequence because it doesn't matter if the water is 7 feet deep and I'm only 6'3". So like, yeah, if the water's 7 feet deep, I can swim. And there's not a big distance from my feet to the bottom of the pool. Or I can be in deep water in the ocean. But the concept of swimming hasn't changed. The current might be different. The tide might be a little stronger. But the concept of keeping my head above water and just keep swimming never changes. So the fact that it doesn't matter if the water's 10 feet, 100 feet, thousands of feet, it doesn't matter. The concept of swimming itself, as long as your head's above water, the concept of swimming is exactly the same. Now it's when your head's underwater that it's tricky.
Bit different,
right? Yeah, right. But again, as long as your head's above water, it doesn't matter if you're in deep water. If you're in worst case scenario, that's what I thought of Muay Thai was like the worst case scenario for a kid like me at that age. And like after I was in worst case scenario every day, they stopped becoming worst case and they just became just scenarios. And then at a young age, when you do that, like nothing scares you. And as kids, we feel invincible anyway.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely, man. Many broken bones.
And you're kind of like, how'd that happen? That wasn't supposed to happen. Like,
Ooh,
it's like in our minds. Yeah, it's in our minds. We shouldn't be able to be harmed. But you compiled the teenage invincibility mentality with martial arts and what it did for me. So I've been in martial arts my whole life. And then when I decided I wanted to get into pro wrestling, I said all that to say when I decided I wanted to get into pro wrestling, there was no apprehension, zero apprehension. It was like, I can do this because I've done everything. I can do this. I know I can do this. And so I had done some martial arts competitions, but like at the time I started wrestling, MMA wasn't that big yet. And so there wasn't that many avenues for it. And so, UFC was already started and stuff like that, but it wasn't like you could get into MMA and go straight to the UFC.
Yeah. Like there's there's alternatives now, isn't it? It's not just UFC that you have to,
Yeah. And so it was, doing the research and finding that there were different MMA organizations. And so that was the most difficult part for me. And then like at the same time, trying to be a pro wrestler and trying to find my footing in that. And so I think MMA was actually not, I won't say easier, but I'll say it was more straightforward. So when I started pro wrestling, I've been in martial arts my whole life. I started in pro wrestling, and then I remember trying to find my footing, if you will, and just not being able to, because I was a martial artist, but I was in pro wrestling, and so the only examples that I had was like a Ken Shamrock or like a Steve Blackman, maybe
Dan
RVD.
Severn, like that's probably it. Those three really.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things where it was like there wasn't a lot of things that I could pull from, right?
Yeah.
And so I just found myself trying to be a traditional wrestler. So I got the wrestling boots and the trunks and the wrist tape, and I was
elbow pads. Come on, brother.
Yeah, Frank Gotch, right, just give me the old Frank Gotch.
Yeah.
But it always felt like a performance. It never felt authentic. And so I was successful. I did a lot of good stuff. And, then I took a break. I just got burnt out on wrestling. Then that's when I made the transition to MMA and spent about 3-4 years over there.
Oh, well, so I didn't actually know, like you actually did the MMA in between like the wrestling as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you actually got burned out of wrestling already, like.
Yeah.
Is that because you didn't necessarily find, like, I know like right now what you're doing, it's a mix of everything, including the wrestling. Yeah. But back then when you were doing it, when you got burned out, was that when you didn't necessarily have your identity? You went in like incorporating the MMA and Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu stuff.
Yeah, it felt like my in-ring performances were performances, but I felt like everything else, like the promos and everything that we all did together, like I was authentic up until the bell rang.
Yeah.
And then I would start doing some of my jiu-jitsu in wrestling matches, and they would be like, ooh, they would get reactions.
Yeah.
And it would be one of those things where it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't no crazy. It was just like I'm in a bad position. Let me change position. And all it was just reframing the situation I was in. I started hearing reactions. And I was like, oh, I was just reframing. That wasn't. Then I started doing more. I was like, ooh. Then I throw in like, a front roundhouse kick. And it's, oh. I'm like, oh, you like that? Check the skip kick. Oh. And I'm like, okay, wait a second.
Us wrestling fans were easily impressed.
It's not even that. It's not even that. It was like when I was doing suplexes, everybody does a suplex. Everybody does a body slam.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a body slam from Keith looks more impressive than, you know, me doing it, right? And then so I just started doing what I knew. And it was like oh. And I was like, oh, wait a second, I've had that in my back pocket this entire time. And so that's when it clicked. And then William Regal told me, he was just like, you're good, but you're forcing it.
Yeah.
It was like, you have to find a way to be a performer and be yourself. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I started telling him a little bit about myself. And then he was like, well, then I feel like you should just come out as a fighter.
Yeah.
And then like, it always felt weird to wear shoes on a mat coming from martial arts. It always felt weird being on a mat for like 5 years of my career with shoes on. It felt disrespectful. It was just like, so there was always like a
so you get back to like the locker room, just like
yes. But yeah, so that's when I came out and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna lean into it. And like everybody had known about my MMA career, so I was like, oh, cool, whatever. And then like it was just seamless from then on, and then everything fell into place.
Everything came together. But that's one of the things as well, like with the MMA, like if you're incorporating wrestling, you can't fake it. Like if you do, fans will know. Like you
see it immediately. Yeah. You see them dump on it immediately. Yeah, you see it. And it's so weird because it's funny to see so many people trying to do it now. And you see them. You see the ones like
I'm not gonna say any names. Like
that's disrespectful. We don't want to.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
But when you see it, it feels forced.
Yeah.
And when I see that in my head, I go, you're in pro wrestling. There's already a market for pro wrestlers in pro wrestling. Why would you swerve into this lane?
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Right.
Why would you swerve into this lane when like you've already got something built in that you can do? You know what I mean? Like it never made sense to me. It was like I had to find this. I had to find the courage to just be myself. And it's like, you can tell this isn't you. Yeah, I just want to tell these people, like, you can tell that you're not this guy, and that's why they're dumping on you. You can tell.
Most wrestling characters are like the best of characters are yourself amped up by 100.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where it's always like tough to watch. It's like it's like the cringe, like but at the same time, I say that, but in the same breath, I will say anybody who has the courage to go out and do something and try something different, I feel like it's irresponsible to just
to mock them stuff. I mean, just I feel like if they genuinely love it, but it's not coming, it's not translating as well.
As maybe they're not there yet. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't translate right away, right?
Yeah,
you know, especially in pro wrestling. Like, let's be honest, Dolph Ziggler was not his first gimmick.
He was a cheerleader.
You know
no,
wait,
it was a caddy.
Right. With Kerwin White.
Kerwin White, that was it. If it ain't white, it ain't right.
It ain't right.
It ain't well.
Oh, man. All right, yeah. The messed up part is, like, I used to think that gimmick was hilarious when I was a little kid. But to think now, if that gimmick came out, like...
And then the first feud, who does he feud with first when he does the gimmick? Shelton Benjamin.
This stuff writes itself.
I know.
And just Shelton's face. And like, it was so funny watching Shelton do that, like watching Shelton in that time, because his face was always like, that it was almost like nobody wanted to tell Chavo.
It's like, who booked this shit? Like, what have I done to you guys? Like, come on.
But yeah, man. So it's one of those things where it's hard for me to scoff at people who are brave enough to venture out. And try something different.
Like, there just seems to be more popularity for what I see. A lot of wrestlers. I mean, we've seen it itself, like Matt Riddle, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, just being a few names that are translated from
my homies. Them my homies too, man.
To wrestling. Oh, nice.
My homies, them my homies, man. They make fun of me, but it's cool. Like, they just roast me. They be like, bro, like, your skin too. Yeah, they be like, bro, your skin too soft to be a fighter, bro. And I'm just like, all right.
Oh, really?
I'm just. I mean, I get made fun of for.
I can imagine, like, you're a pretty nice person, but I can imagine, like, that bell rings, like, yeah.
Oh, it's a wrap. Yeah, it's a wrap. It's we get busy, but no, but yeah, you see people like Baze and then like Matt, and you see them, and it Matt is being Matt Riddle, like he's just having fun, but you can tell that he's authentic.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't know he was a UFC fighter, the way he moves, the way he flows, the way it's authentic. Vase can bend your limbs in ways that you don't think they're possible. Like Shayna, she can bend your limbs in ways it's authentic. You believe it when she walks out.
Yeah.
Before you see her execute anything, And so I think the people who try to do that, I go, watch those people. Watch Shayna. Watch Matt. And until you find it for yourself, I try not to discourage anybody when they, venture into the martial arts. Like I feel like it's such a beautiful thing of self-discovery in martial arts. So, but when you see them wrestling, like you said, you've seen those guys who they put the gear on and then they go out there and you go like, you're not this guy. And so it's weird. It's weird. It's just, but anyway, let's not even.
It's gonna slip in it. No, that's cool. I think it's pretty awesome. They have made the transition pretty well. I will have to add from MMA to jiu-jitsu into wrestling, but you've actually managed to blend it into who you are as a pro wrestler now, and it's pretty good. I can see in your matches. I mean, one of the matches that stand out to me is the match you had with Keith Lee, his last match Beyond Wrestling. But like, it was. I think that was a really emotional match as well. You bowed down to the crowd afterwards, and
that was so crazy too, man. Yeah, that was a good day, man. You bringing back so many memories just referencing some of these things. Like just listening to them, just like that was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, they were chanting, "Please come back," and just the bow, and it was just because it was.
Was that your first Beyond match?
Yes. Yeah, that was I was coming in as he was leaving, and then I got like the "Please come back" chant, and like you would think that I had been there the way they got behind me.
Definitely.
I'd been there.
It was like a 20+ minute match, like for someone who's just making a debut.
And it was 110 degrees in there, bro. It was hot.
I can see like the ring. I mean,
you can see. Yeah, no,
I enjoyed it as a fan, but I think if I've been there after the match, I'll be like,
man, listen. He chopped me one time, and I saw the sweat in the air. And I was like,
the match in slow motion.
What is happening right now? Like, but yeah, no. Beyond has been very good to me as well. Like, man, you're bringing up some good memories, man. Like, heck yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Just a few more questions, and then I'll let you know because I know you do have a busy day today. Because it's a bit early for you.
Yeah.
But honestly, mate, it's been fucking quality. It just feels like it's quite relaxing,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a few highlights of your year. Going back to what I said at the beginning of the interview, where you've had a brilliant year, and we've highlighted Ring of Honor Final Battle, and you teaming up with Shane Taylor. But you actually appeared in Impact and AEW as well. I'll just touch on Impact quickly. I have a good relationship with Impact also. Good company. But you wrestled for the club and the X Division title. I just want to know about your experiences there, sort of any quick stories you could share about your time in Impact Wrestling.
Impact. I mean, all I want the public and your audience to know about Impact is these guys are so passionate.
Yeah.
I can't put into words how passionate these guys are. Guys like Sami Callihan and Macklin and Moose and Bay and Austin and Jessica and Deanna and freaking their whole roster is so insane. Everybody's so passionate and positive.
I'm so happy they've just been rewarded with that deal with DAZN.
Yes.
Well deserved. I know they've had a bit,
seriously. It's been, but the thing is like the level of the roster, the level of
the actual consistency of the talent
and their dedication, they've been consistent.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever else, they've been consistent. And then with Josh, and his world title reign right now.
Yeah. Big fan.
Even that bout with Speedball that he had at Iron Man, not too long back. Like these guys are taking gambles and knocking it out the park, man. You know, and it's just like, heck yeah, like I'm all about it, all for it. But yeah, Impact was a good experience for me just to be able to, you know, go against the Bullet Club and things of that nature.
Yeah, Chris Bay, Ace Austin.
Yeah, and
Quality.
Bay's the homie. Like again, like the Bullet Club, like Austin and Bay, like they're a tag team that I feel like they haven't gotten their just desserts yet either. Man.
Yeah,
like they're so brilliant, so talented. But
still so young as well.
Yeah, the thing I do want people to know about the Impact roster is that every single person on that roster has a passion for this business. Every single person on that roster it keeps a positive mentality at all times, and they're all consistent. They're all consistent. Very rare is it in any pro wrestling company that everybody's just freaking consistent. Everybody in that roster is consistent. And it was very refreshing to see.
Yeah, I can't say anything bad about Impact. I mean, I enjoy the products. Great people to work with as well. I mean, from my point of view, they've given me a lot of opportunities, like media pass stuff, and I can't thank them enough.
And everybody's always so gracious, and so you already know you've interacted with everybody.
Yeah,
you kind of feel at home like almost immediately, even though you know you're right. I think it's one of those things everybody is.
It's changed, and I'm glad. Like obviously we know about the Hogan era and Bischoff,
and the trajectory is going up, and so that's
like
always,
the zone deal is a big thing for them. And I hope they succeed, and you know, just hopefully.
And I think they will. I think this has been what everybody's been waiting on.
Yeah,
and now it's kind of like a back to work. You know?
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool.
So,
enjoy that moment. Let's keep going forward.
Let's get back to work.
Exactly.
And you gotta love that. And like again, you've dealt with people in Impact and you've dealt with a lot of their roster and talked to a lot of those guys and gals. And so you already know this is a big opportunity. It's a big deal, and they're gonna seize it and they're gonna knock it out the park. And it's gonna be it's gonna be a benefit and a treat for wrestling fans to see. So I'm excited for Impact Wrestling.
Awesome. JD, last question, and then let it go. It's a fun question, not to do with wrestling.
Okay, cool.
It's actually quite a fun one. I mean, you can make it about wrestling if you want. You can make it about MMA. 3 dream dinner guests for your party, dead, alive, fictional, non-fictional. Could be up to you. You're the host, but you are picking 3 guests for your party. Who would you pick? And if you can give a quick explanation as to why you want them there, that'd be awesome. Go, my man.
That's a good question. You can't prepare for that kind of question. That's pretty good. Anderson Silva.
Nice.
Anderson Silva's had the biggest impact on me.
We just won't mention about that Jake Paul fight. That was just embarrassing.
You know, Anderson Silva, because again, like we can talk about what happened, you know, after Father Time finally got to him.
In his prime. Fucking hell.
You know, like he was untouchable.
He's an animal.
He was quiet. He was humble.
Yeah.
But if you talk trash, he could talk trash with you. Rather not.
Tell Shannon his bitch.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's one of those things like, he's like, yeah, you can talk all this noise, but you still got to come see me, bro. And so that vibe was always, he had this imperviousness about him.
Yeah.
Even though he was flesh and blood like the rest of us, you kind of believed he was bulletproof. Like I don't, you know. And so I just, as a child, I thought that was. I
was a big fan. Just the fact that I was a big fan of Charles Sonnen, so him just like shutting him up. It was just brilliant.
And then like it's just one of those things where he would switch, you know, from southpaw to orthodox and back and forth. That used to excite me because I'm like, I do that, you know. and so I just always thought of him as an inspiration. I even use like his teep kick to the face. I use that in matches sometimes just as a
nod to him. Yeah.
As a, hey, look, I learned from the GOAT, bro. You know,
love it.
But so Anderson Silva, just because he's just a brilliant person. The second one is gonna trip you out. Hold on one second, because it's authentic. It's authentic. I gotta
wait for this.
I gotta show you how.
Is it Swerve?
All right, I'm back. Back like I left some. I got to make a presentation out of this next one. So the second one, don't make me laugh. I'm trying to be serious. The second one, like, but the second one, right, is the old gaffer, Mikel Arteta. That's who I wanted my dinner to be. Oh, bro, Arsenal Football Club till I die, bro.
Wait,
you know what I'm
there.
saying? Hey,
wait there.
Hey, what's up? Talk to me. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go.
Ever.
Yeah.
JD, my man.
Yeah. Mikel Arteta. Yeah, because I feel like there's so much I can learn from Mikel Arteta because you follow Arsenal Football Club, so you already know the past few years that's all he's faced is adversity with all these young players that he has turned into like beast.
Beast. And he's got rid of the bad players as well, like Ozil, Mustafi. Yeah. You know,
well, we ain't gonna disrespect Ozil, bro. Like I can't let you do that.
Right, Ozil. We're going back to a bit like Anderson Silva. For the first few years at Arsenal, Ozil was fantastic. Just the way he would no one can ping a ball better than him, right? But the last few years at Arsenal were just quite sad in a way. Like you just didn't. He was either not playing, he's falling out, not showing up, didn't put an effort in it. He just wasn't giving us what we deserved in a way. But I'm not saying it's all his fault.
That's fair. That's okay. I'll give you that. That's fair. It's one of those things though, but like to see, like I thought when he moved Aubameyang, I was like,
see that crushed me. I was sad about that. I was really sad about it.
I was like, bro, we're losing and you're getting rid of our biggest goal scorer. Yeah. But he stuck to his guns. He was like, I got a system.
Yeah. And
if you come into this system and you play with passion, that was his issue with Ozil.
Yeah.
Ozil didn't play with passion anymore.
No.
Because I used to get mad at Xhaka. Like I used to be like, oh, Xhaka is just out here just getting tossed out of games and stuff. And
no discipline. He was getting sent off.
Yeah. But
Arteta,
and it felt like Arteta just kept rocking with him. And then I understood, like, oh, he just wants the people that's going to play with passion.
And it's paid off. He's probably been Arsenal's best player this season, in my opinion. Him or Saka.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's like you start to see these people. Now people are trying to get to Arsenal. You know what I'm saying? Now, and so it's one of those things where Arsenal went from the Invincibles to like
trophyless. Like we didn't win a trophy for like 10 years. That was sad.
And so it's one of those things like, and it's weird sometimes people who have their football clubs that they've just been behind, like they almost feel like, hey, I've been your fan long enough. Give me some more trophies. Like, what the hell, man? Like, just give me something. Like, Europa League. I'll take Europa League. Like, whatever.
We can win the league still. I genuinely believe.
Absolutely.
We need a striker. Obviously, with Jesus injured now, we need a striker.
I mean, it's weird because didn't Martinelli start off as a primary striker, or was he always on the wing?
I think it was more winger. We've still got Nketiah though. But good news actually. This actually came out about an hour before recording. Martinelli has signed a new contract with Arsenal. So
I'll take it.
I thought I'd share that one. Yeah.
So that was my second one, Mikel Arteta, because I feel like I could learn about. Like I said, I've always talked about weathering the storm. Like I feel like he embodies that as a manager.
Yeah.
In the Premier League. Because Arsenal fans, the Arsenal faithful, we can be a bit I don't even know the word, volatile. I feel like we can be
a bit mouthy,
Oh yeah. Oh, I be mad at troops sometimes, bro. I
can't stand him, man. Bro, I'm sorry.
I'll be ready. I'll be like, yo, troops, you my guy, but like I'm about to
ain't it troops?
You know
what you say about Swerve quickly, but like what you say about Swerve, like arguing himself. Troops, 100% does that.
Yes.
What do you say about that? What do you say about
that? Yes. Mikel Arteta
and
then the third one. Yeah, bro. Come on, man. And then the third one. The third one will have to be my father.
Good answer. I like it.
Yeah. He passed away about 7 years ago. But yeah, my father, to to be like, I stayed the course.
Mhm.
I put one foot in front of the other. I stayed the course, and I minded my training and I minded my manners, and it paid off like you said it would. You know, I would want to learn from these people, but I would want my dad to be that third dinner guest to go, hey, even though I'm learning from these people, I've already learned from you, and your lessons have already paid off.
Yeah.
They've already paid off. And so, yeah, that's my dinner.
I
That's
love
my
it,
dinner
man.
party.
That's awesome.
That's a good.
I
I
feel like
that's a solid dinner party. Right?
as a solid dinner party, and each part of it has a part of your life. So Arteta,
Yeah.
Father, and Aston
Yeah.
Silva. That's
Yeah,
JD. That's brilliant, man. Like
I'm out here.
that's honestly, man. I won't keep any longer because I know you are busy, as I said not long ago. But thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Fantastic
Absolutely.
conversation, and
Thank you.
I think it's one of my favorite recent interviews I've done. JD,
Thank you, man.
what have you got planned next? Anything you want to share? It's yours now.
Headed to San Antonio for the San Antonio, Texas in America. I'm headed to San Antonio, Texas. We got Dynamite Live tomorrow on TBS, so check it out.
Keep an eye out on Dynamite, people. I'll be keeping an eye out on Dynamite as well, but also I'll put your social media handles in the description below so they can keep up with you
Absolutely.
in general as well, my man. Thank you.
I always love in the interviews, but like, get the social medias, they're right here at the bottom of the screen.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't actually scroll through. I'm trying to get mine updated yet, but
it's
just
all
imagine
good.
Imagine it, people. Imagine
Oh
it.
yeah, imagine it. At that JD Griffey on Twitter and Instagram. Give me a follow.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, JD. Have a great
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Enjoy tomorrow
Absolutely,
as well.
bro.
For everyone, if you can like this video, subscribe to the account, and keep up to date with me on my social media handles in the description below, so you can keep up to date with what I've got lined up in 2023. But for now, everyone, I hope you all have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
So it's What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah.